I feel a lot less grumpy about narrowly losing to Chester on the first day of the season now, because they've won all of their first 6 games and are destroying the Conference North at the moment. And we're doing all right just behind them. Hello and welcome to part 18 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kev. Coming up on today's episode, we're away against Stockport and then at home against Boston in the Conference North. Since you were last with me, it's been a sea of green. We've won 4 games on the bounce. We're looking like a very, very good team. We have signed an extra player as well. We brought in a defensive midfielder, as we said we would. We've not played him yet. But he's in and he's getting some match fitness. Taylor Maloney, 20 years old, can play as a defensive midfielder or as a defensive central midfielder. He came in from York. The reason we're not using him is because we're not actually using the diamond that I threatened that we'd use. We've carried on with the 4-3-1-2 and playing against anyone other than Chester. It seems to be working really rather well. But Chester are just monsters. They are tearing the league apart. Luckily, so is Ashley Chambers. 6 goals already. Best player in the league by rating. 3rd on assists. Top for man of the match. Ashley Chambers has had a good start to the season. Everyone who was saying we should replace him at the end of last year. 6 goals, 3 assists from 5 appearances and 8.26. That'll do, Ashley. Keep that up for the rest of the season. And none of these young whippersnappers will come in and steal your role. So, this is the team that we're putting out there for the first game, the one against Stockport. We've got Linus in goal. We've had to make a couple of changes from what would be our normal team because we've started to get the injuries creep in now. We've had Kenny Clark pick up a knock. Jordan Nicholson's picked up a knock. So, not quite what would be my normal team, but it's near enough. So Anderson, Diane, I almost called him his proper name. Anderson, Diane, Ercolani and Birch at the back. Elliot, Wheatley and El Beckery in midfield. Alex Patterson's going to deputise for Jordan Nicholson. He's been playing as the box-to-box midfielder. Out of position as a box-to-box midfielder. But my first substitution each game is Nicholson off, Patterson further forward and bring on a midfielder. And that's when he comes into his own. And he's got 3 goals and 2 assists from 5 games and a 7.78. Largely for those appearances in the last 20 minutes a game. So I think he'll be absolutely fine playing there from the start. And then we're still going with the combo of Coombs and Chambers up front. Trying something a little bit different for our backup striker today. We've had Tomlinson on the bench so far. Not had a look at Alex Willis yet. Today, we might get the opportunity to have a look at Alex Willis, who, he scored plenty of goals for Poole last year. It is a little bit harsh he's not even made it onto the bench for us yet. And that error will be corrected today. It'll give us the opportunity to take Chambers off. Chambers has played every minute of every game so far. Possibly from that first game. I don't remember if we took him off in the first episode. But my attacking substitution every time has been Coombs off, Tomlinson on. And it would be nice just to be able to rest Chambers a little bit. He has done superbly there. Ashley Chambers with 12 seconds on the clock. That's the kind of form that man is in. Because look at the control, look at the skill in this penalty area. It's from the kickoff. How often do you score from the kickoff? It's a big ball forward from Ercolani, but look at this from Chambers. 1 touch there, then jumps over, squares it for Coombs. Coombs tucks it away with 13 seconds on the clock. We're 1-0 up against Stockport. That moves us up to 2nd place in the league, just behind Chester, and with a game in hand as well, because we had a game called off really early on in the season for a waterlogged pitch. And it gave us a little bit of time to just get some fitness and stuff. We were a little bit tired, and that sorted us out. But if we finish 2nd behind Chester, the way Chester are playing, I would consider that an excellent season. Obviously, in an ideal world, we win the league this year. But Chester look absolutely unstoppable right now. We are the team that have come closest to beating them, and they scored 4 goals against us. They were 3-0 up by half time, and we've been the closest to beating them. So, yeah, they're quite. I don't know where they've come from either. We need to examine them really, because they finished behind us last year. They were outside of the playoffs. We need to find out what's changed at Chester. Whether it's a new manager maybe who's come in and is a genius, or if they've made some amazing signings over the summer. But whatever it is they've done, it's worked. And you can't write this stuff. The first game, we've not had Tomlinson on the bench. Coombs gets himself injured. We're going to have to bring on Alex Willis and then decide which one of these two is going to be the defensive forward. Chambers is probably better suited to it, but it's been in such good form. Chambers is the senior man. He's the one who's got to move over. But how unlucky do you have to get sometimes? Any other game this season, that would have been inconvenient, but not a disaster. Because we'd have Tomlinson on the bench, who's one of... we've got 3 strikers that are playing £800 a week plus for in this league, and 2 of them are defensive forwards. And this is the first time they've not both been in the matchday squad. So obviously the one that is picks up a knock because the game just likes to be cruel to me. And now we've moved Chambers out of position. It will ruin his good form. I've played this game before. I know how this works. That's some lovely control from Chambers though. And Willis is our first look at him. What's he do? Finds Birch, who squares it to, don't even know who that was to. Elliot, I think, and he finds Chambers, and Chambers scores. So none of this. Chambers not in form. Chambers can't be the defensive forward. Chambers is basically the reverse Harry Kane. He scores all his goals at the start of the season. He's done it for both of the last 2 years. August, he scores for fun, and he just keeps on scoring. The thing is, as soon as the weather gets cold, he stops scoring goals, and he never really picks it up again. I would clarify that with he got 33 goals last year, so he did score throughout the season, just never quite as deadly as he was during those first 10 or 15 games, and he's doing it again this year. The advantage we've got this year is we've got other options for when Chambers goes off the boil. And I didn't want to replace him, but I did want to offer competition for places and give myself the opportunity to drop him or rest him if we need to later on in the season. We've never had that luxury before. So Willis has got a lot to live up to today. If he can grab a couple of goals and show us that he's a good option, then we can be less worried about Chambers as we go into the colder months. Patterson, not had a good game at all. We said he's been brilliant deputising in that position. Not a sniff of anything decent today. We'll take him off, bring on AJ George, and we don't really have anyone to tuck in to that position. Now, what we might do, actually, let's try and be sensible, try and win a football match. George can go in there as a deep line midfielder on support. Wheatley can just defend. Is Elliot better for that, maybe? No, he's not. And we'll just take it. We're not going to go too far back. We'll take it to standard. Well, I'm trying. People say, Kev, you've got to do tactics more. Well, there you go. That's Kev doing tactics. We're bring Freestone on at left back as well. Going from one Championship Manager classic formation of 4-3-1-2 to the other Championship Manager classic formation of 4-1-3-2. When you used to get the Championship Manager guidebooks, these were the tactics that they recommended as being the ones that you'd played. And that's why I still play them now, because they worked then, they still work now. I never read in a book how to use wingers properly because they didn't put it in the guidebooks. So to this day, still don't really know how to use them, but I can do a 3-man midfield like an absolute hero. And it looks like we're holding on to this game. Although dropping down the league as other teams score their late goals, back down into 4th place. But remember, we do have a game in hand, and Chester are losing. Headlines, everybody, Chester are losing. And if we win our game in hand, I don't know if it's our next one. Goodness me, it would be fun if it is. But if we win our game in hand, we could actually find ourselves top of the league if everything stays as it is right now. And that would be super cool. Willis, that was one of the worst crosses in the history of football, but it doesn't matter because we've won the match. Hopefully Coombs isn't too injured. It doesn't really matter if he is because we've got Tomlinson, but we are paying him a lot of money, so we don't want him to be out for like 8 months or anything silly. So let's have a little look. Coombs has a calf strain and is out for 2 months. I mean, it's a problem, but it's not as big a problem as it would have been last year. I mean, look at the calibre of players we've got injured. Our captain, our best player, and one of our top strikers. And for the first time, we've actually got the strength in depth for that to be okay. So, fingers crossed we don't go and lose our next game now, or I'm going to look an idiot. So just the one change for the Boston game. It's obviously the one you would have expected. Tomlinson comes in for the injured Coombs. It still looks like a really strong team. I'm confident. We're at home against Boston, one of our former non-league to legend stomping grounds, and hopefully we give them a very unpleasant afternoon and move a little bit closer towards securing ourselves a nice little slot at the top of the league. This isn't our game in hand, so if we do manage to find ourselves top of the league today, which would be a tall order, but if we were to, we'd be top of the league with a game in hand. And that would be rather pleasant. I'd enjoy that quite a lot. So that's what we're aiming for. But ultimately, we just want to win the game. And if we keep winning football matches, we'll be fine. I mean, that is such sloppy defending from Boston. They're going to be absolutely disgusted with themselves for what's just happened there. That moves us up to 2nd place in the league. But look at the amount of touches we get in the penalty area without them getting involved. That's really poor. And to have a player stood where Diane was stood there, able to just tuck that away whilst being onside, just very, very sloppy. The 2 guys on the post have just stood there whilst we're basically knocking the ball around in their area. and I would be furious if I was Boston manager. Which I'm not these days, which is good. Tomlinson in behind. Let's see what he can do. He's got a little bit of a turn of pace there, which I don't know if Coombs had that. That was quite interesting to see Tomlinson burst past a player. That could be quite handy. Imagine 2 quick forwards. I could get on board with that. Elliott now tries to find Patterson, but it bounces off the back of his heel. Clearly, that lad can't play as an attacking midfielder from the start of a football match, which is weird, because when he plays the first 60 or 70 minutes as a box-to-box midfielder, presumably as a warm-up, and then moves up there, he's absolutely lethal. But he does hit a nice free kick. Comes in, Chambers onto Ercolani. It's 2-0. I think Patterson, despite all the moans... Well, I guess they don't count as 2 assists, but it's 2 excellent set-piece deliveries from Patterson that's got us these goals. Although I guess Chambers gets the assist for that one, yeah, for the flick on. And no one got the assist for the previous one, so I guess it wasn't us knocking it around their area. It was that tackle that came in from the Boston guy. But let's not get away from the fact, I know he's on a low rating of 6.4, does not tell that story at all. Patterson, 2 beautiful set-piece deliveries have led to 2 goals there. And if there was any justice in the world, he'd be getting at least half an assist for each of them. I mean, there's an assist going spare. Give it to him for his 2 beautiful deliveries. Right, here we go. Another free kick from Patterson. This time, not quite to pinpoint, and it goes over the bar. Don't shoot, lad. Just do some of these beautiful crosses that you've been doing earlier on, because that's going to go down as another miss. And he's on a 6.3 now, and it's completely unjustified, because he's doing what we're paying him to do, which is create chances. Kalani, that was just bizarre. He knows Udinese aren't watching him anymore. He doesn't care. Just kick it out anyway. I feel like I'm not... There you go. I'll do it again. I can do this all day, lads. It's the weirdest clearance ever, and the fact he did it twice suggests it's his trademark. Patterson, again, muscled off the ball. He's not much good from open play, it seems, which is a bit of a shame. And they do get a header in from their corner this time, and it just whistles over the bar. A little warning shot that they've fired for us. We've only actually had 2 shots on target so far in this game. Luckily, we have scored them both. But the stats tell us we've not been quite so dominant as it might feel. Now, I'm not going to take Patterson off here because I think he's had a good game. I'm overruling the stats. We are going to take off Tomlinson and just make that change again, get Willis on. I want to get AJ George onto the midfield. He can come on for El Bekri. And why have I got 2 left-backs on the bench? I did this in the last game. Kev, for goodness sake, you've been saying this for 2 years. Stop letting your assistant manager pick your substitutes. We all know I'm never going to stop, but we'll just bring Freestone on again. And there's no point Jefford being on the bench. There isn't a circumstance he's going to come on as my preferred left-back. I'm going to take the lad who's a posh youth team player in real life. And is he going to miss that? I mean, if he'd have missed that completely, I might have rethought it for the next match. But we need to we need another midfielder there on the bench, or one of each striker maybe. Elliot Rocker's still knocking around. He could do a job for us sat on the bench. He's only on non-contract now. He's another one in the non-contract club that we talked about in the last episode. But certainly he's a nice man to have around. He's a lovely man, but he's a nice option for us to have as a 5th choice striker. Ercolani, at that end, he does a normal kick. He doesn't do his weird kick and then runs off with a chicken dance. And you've earned the chicken dance there, because that is a beautiful volley. And there's your chicken dance again from the back. What a player. Luca Ercolani, is that his name? I think it's Luca. If not, it is now, and we'll change it if it's not. I think we're probably safe at 3-0, and it's been another very good performance. We've won every single match we've played since that first day of the season when we lost to Chester. And remember, we've won every half of football we've been involved in since the first half of the first game. So we were 3-0 down at half-time and lost 4-3 in that first episode. So pretty much since half-time in that game, we've looked like champions. Chester have fallen off the top of the league, and we're now in a situation where we have a game in hand, and if we win it, we'll be top of the league in our own right. None of this goal difference nonsense. So we want to get that game played ASAP. I want to get to the top of the league. I want to stay at the top of the league. I want an open top bus at the end of this season to celebrate moving us back up into the Conference National, where the real work begins. Because at that level, we're not going to be the guys with the big wage budget anymore. We're going to be the little minnows. And that sounds like it's going to be hard work. Oh, Willis is in, and would have expected a little bit more from him. Didn't seem like a poacher's reaction to that, but I'm nitpicking. We've had 3 shots on target, scored 3 goals. So I was going to say the strikers are doing all right. Actually, it tells us the opposite stories. We've had 12 shots and only 3 have been on target. So actually, we need to improve our shooting. And Chambers is in. He doesn't need to improve his shooting because that's about his 8th or 9th goal of the season already. It's his 2nd today, I think. We're 4-1 up. And, I mean, that'll do nicely. It's a nice little bit of midfield movement. That's why we got AJ George onto the pitch, because he can do stuff like that. And then Willis plays it through to Chambers, who... And in autumn, he's not missing from there. Give him that chance in February and he probably won't even connect with the ball. But this time of year, he scores that all day long. And there's Freestone going to pick up a yellow card just to finish the game off. Is that it? Don't even have time to take the free kick. Why even award it? So that leaves us, if we have a little look at the league table, I think that Southport game's our game in hand. Maybe. But we find ourselves 7 games into the season, 18 points. Chester did make it back to the top of the league in the end, the rascals. But regardless of all that, things are going well at the moment. I approve wholeheartedly. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager content, 4 p.m, 9 p.m. It's all good. Just subscribe. If you're on the fence, just subscribe. And if you don't like it a week later, you can unsubscribe then. But hopefully you won't. And thank you very much for watching.